if you're ready to stand on the line, if you're ready to fight back and serve it to the criminals trying to enslave you and steal your wealth through monetary creation and exorbitant taxation, you're in the right place. Welcome back to another edition of the Prepper Recon podcast. Whether your plan is to bug out or bug in, CampingSurvival.com has all of your preparedness needs, including fish antibiotics, long-term storage food, water filters, bug-out bags, and first aid kits. Use coupon code PrepperRecon for 5% off your entire order at CampingSurvival.com.
When disaster strikes, it's too late to prepare. PrepperRecon.com offers MOLLE-compatible individual first aid kits for your home, auto, or bug-out bag. These kits have everything you need to address a traumatic injury, including an Israeli battle dressing, quick clot, EMT shears, suture kit, Steri-strips, tourniquet, ACS chest seal, tough strip bandages, gauze, and so much more. $89 includes shipping. To buy your individual first aid kit, go to PrepperRecon.com and click the store tab at the top of the homepage. Order today before it's too late.
Hey Preppers and Patriots, this is a rebroadcast of my recent appearance on Radio Free Redoubt with John Jacob Schmidt. Enjoy the show.
It's just a pleasure for me to bring to you the author, Christian author of the Economic Collapse Chronicles, his first book, The American Exit Strategy. Also another series, the Days of Noah series, which I'm in the middle of right now. And he's also one of our sponsors. And he has a online preparedness and self-reliance store, PrepperRecon.com. And he's got this newest project that he did in collusion with another well-known member of the prepper community, David Kobler from the very popular Southern Prepper YouTube channel. And so it's just a pleasure for me to have you join us. Mark, thank you so much for coming on Radio Free Redoubt.
John Jacob, what a generous introduction. Thank you very much, and it's my honor to be on the show.
Well, I mean it from the heart, brother. You're doing great things.
Thank you very much.
You're one of the very few people that I know of that are as busy as me. You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I don't gather a lot of moss. That's for sure.
That's okay. You're doing good things, and so this latest project, I have to say this is there's preparedness. What do I do? Type of preparedness stuff out there, but I really like what you did with this latest one. The 7 steps. It's the 7 steps to becoming prepared. We're going to walk through that. And we're going to just kind of talk about some of those things, but you really look at this from a Christian perspective, and this is really super important. Then I'll let you do all the talking. Is that sometimes this is approached through a spirit of fear, and we have to make sure that we have the proper perspective and do this out of responsible response to a very credible threats, dangers. Just like in Proverbs, it says, "A prudent man sees danger and takes refuge, but the simple keep going and suffer for it." And so we're not freaking out. We're just being prudent. And you really place the most emphasis on making Christ the number one item on your prepper list, because what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and then loses his own soul? So you really nailed the most important things right out of the gate. So I don't know. I like your work. So let's talk about this. Your new project. Get the name out there for the listeners.
It's the 7-step survival plan. And what we really tried to do with that is, I kind of borrowed that catchphrase from James Wesley Rawls, beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, and I wanted to just kind of expand on that and build upon that. But that was kind of like my basic thought when we first went into this project. And so we tried to keep it all with the B-letter words like James Wesley Rawls had done. And so step 1, we do body, mind, and soul. That's because you're your number one survival tool. You got to be in shape. We saw so many people last winter that just keeled over with heart attacks because they had to get up on their roofs and shovel snow off their roofs because their roofs were caving in. It wasn't a thing of, oh, I want my driveway to look nice because all the neighbors are shoveling theirs. It's if I don't do it, I'm not going to have a house. So they had to do it. And a lot of them, they'd been eating potato chips and watching Oprah on the couch, and they couldn't do it. Their ticker just keeled over. So you got to be in some type of shape to be able to handle any level of disaster. And it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It can just be a snowstorm like we saw. And we see that a lot in South Florida. When we have hurricanes, people have to get out with chainsaws and cut up trees to get their car out of the driveway or to get the tree off their car or out of the doorway or whatever. And, it's a lot of this stuff is stuff they have to do, and they just don't have the cardiovascular health to do it or the strength to do it. So you got to have a little cardio training and some strength training mixed into whatever your day-to-day routine is. And then your mind, skills cost, knowledge weighs nothing, so you can carry around a lot of skills in your mind once you've developed them and that you don't lose. It's like riding a bike. You never lose that. And your soul, and it's exactly like you said, no matter how hard you prep, we've all got a 6-foot hole waiting on us, right? And we're all going to have that day, and we're all going to stand before our Maker, and you want to make sure that you've thought that through, and before that day comes. And there's more to it than just the pie in the sky application. It's got a lot of application to our everyday life, because the survival rule of 3 says, you can go 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. In that is also 3 months without hope. And so if you've got a connection to Jesus Christ, you've got that eternal source of hope, that it's a well inside of you that you can draw from. And we always hear survival stories of POWs or people that have been in other types of survival situations. And, what kept you going? And time again, they come back to, it was my relationship to Jesus Christ. And that's what got them past that 3-month period where a lot of people just don't go if they don't have that hope.
That's a very good point. I'm just I'm reading a book by I can't remember who it's by. Basically persecuted Christians during the Soviet Union, what they went through, persecuted for Christ, I believe it was. Incredible how the folks who didn't have faith to cling to, they didn't last. Very good point.
Yeah, and you need that just day to day, because we all have challenges. We all have, you get that pink slip, you get the bad news from the doctor, you get the excessive amount of friction in the marriage, whatever it happens to be. You need God to pull you through that stuff, because you can't make it on your own. And people that try, they fail miserably, and they end up turning to something. So it might as well be something that's actually going to get you through it. And then the next step is step 2, is budget. And in that one, we just focus on not creating your own financial stuff hits the fan scenario long before the dollar ever dies, because you hear a lot of preppers that are going out and they're going to go buy a solar oven and a solar array and some tricked out guns and a big stockpile of ammo and stuff. And they're putting all this stuff on their credit card. You might need a lot of that stuff, but you have to fit it into your regular budget, and you've got to learn to live on less than you make, so that you don't create your own personal economic collapse, because that happens. And unfortunately, people that run in fear to try to prep, a lot of times they cause that themselves. And then step 3, we've got the bug out bag, which is, just a 72-hour kit. It's got everything you need to live for 72 hours. It's got some water in it. It's got a filter so that you can purify water. It's got some food, shelter, change of clothes, some hygiene items, stuff like that. Now, once you've got that together, once you've got a 72-hour bug out bag, you've also got a 72-hour bug in bag. So you've got 3 days worth of food in there, and the basic stuff you need to survive if something happens and there's a chemical spill or a terrorist attack or whatever that keeps you and you can't leave your house. And then beans, that's our food storage word, borrowed from James Wesley Rawls. And, that's because the supply chain is so fragile, John Jacob, and I know that you know this, but most stores have about 3 days worth of food stocked there, and then if the system breaks down, that's it. And it's not everybody in the city or everybody in that town is going to get 3 days worth of food. The first 6 people that get in there are going to get 3 months worth of food, and everybody else is going to get plastic forks and paper plates.
Absolutely. I've seen it.
Yeah. And then the next step is bullets, because cops can't protect us 24/7, unless we have one stationed in our home, which if you're married to a cop, that's okay. But if you're not, you probably don't want a cop in your house 24/7. And, we've seen Ferguson, we've seen Baltimore, where they had to stand down because they were outnumbered, or we had the episode where the politicians will tell them to stand down. So it's just, they're great. They can come out and fill out the report after everything's over with, but you got to be able to take care of yourself until they get there. And, in the worst case scenario, they might not be able to get there at all. And then, Fox 519, every week he's warning us and telling us the problems with the economy and the problems with the dollar. So bullion is our step 6. And that's silver and gold, which is a great way to protect your wealth through a monetary or economic reset, to come out on the other side, and you'll still have something. But now during that period, gold and silver might not be all that handy. You might need some other things for barter items to be able to trade and exchange for other goods and services. So we talk about that a lot. And then the last thing we talk about is base. And, you have to think about the survivability of where you're at. Harden your home if you can. If you're chained to a city for work and you just can't get out and you can't get away from the large population centers, think about moving out to the suburbs. But if you're not, and I know that you're familiar with James Wesley Rawls' theory on that is, get as far away from those population centers as possible, because that's where the bad stuff happens. And we've seen that. Ferguson, Baltimore, when stuff breaks down, that's where it breaks down. It's not small town USA where all that stuff's going on. So if you can kind of get out of the way of that stuff the best you can, it's going to really increase your survivability.
Well, hey, Mark.
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Okay. I know sometimes our voices cross. One will cancel the other out, and you can't hear the other guy. Just today they were talking about on the Drudge Report, a new paper that was released talking about the new nationwide crime wave. And this is really important because if you can just strategically relocate, outside of those urban centers, if you must commute, have a plan for your security. But you definitely don't want to get caught inside those cities. And we're seeing more and more of these studies coming up talking about the increasing threat around the urbanized areas. And they start getting their water shut off, and they're going to start getting really angry.
Heck yeah, man.
Let's see, where was it? I was trying to pull up this article from the Drudge Report because I didn't get a chance to finish reading it. I was just going to just kind of skim over that real quick. But let's get back. We're going to take a break here in just a minute. But I wanted to ask you also, for those folks that you mentioned budget in step 2, to have a plan for folks to, even on very limited resources. We have elderly people, we have people on limited incomes, or down to one income in their family. People are hurting right now. So I want to kind of pick your brain also to get some ideas for those folks that are just waking up. They feel overwhelmed and they feel really despair because they feel like they don't have the resources to do all this whiz-bang stuff and going out and buying guns and ammo and a year's worth of food. And they just that's when they just feel like, I'm toast. I have no hope. And so I want to give them a little bit of a plan.
Well, coupons that's the biggest thing you can do is coupons.
Yeah, good point. And I've thought another one to add to the B list. Balance.
Yes. And beans and rice are so cheap. You can get a 20-pound bag of rice at Walmart for about $7. A pound of beans usually runs you about $1. You can buy a lot of beans and rice for $100. And if you're using coupons and you're shopping buy one get one frees at your local grocer, and we give a lot of coupon resources in the book as well, of places that people can go to find that stuff. And you can really build a huge stockpile on your regular weekly food budget without getting a lot of extra money in there.
All right, well, good enough. We're going to take a quick break, so we'll be back in just a few minutes. We are with Mark Goodwin talking about the 7-step survival plan. We'll be back in just a minute. This is Radio Free Redoubt.
It's time for a quick break, and we'll be right back. The dollar's lost over 90% of its purchasing power since 1971. Silver, on the other hand, has proved to be a very stable form of wealth preservation over the years. And where do you buy silver? Silver.com, of course. Silver.com offers fantastic prices on silver and gold. Check out Silver.com today. Essential oils offer a natural, chemical-free solution to so many of our daily needs. Oils can be used for just about anything, including fighting off bacteria, to de-stress, ward off bugs, relieve arthritis pain, and boost the immune system. Young Living Essential Oils offers the highest quality products and educational resources, so you'll learn what to use and how to use it. Go to livingalifeoflove.com. That's livingalifeoflove.com to order your starter kit today.
And we are talking about the 7-step survival plan, a book that was just released by author Mark Goodwin in collusion with David Kobler. And we've got Mark on the line, and the phone lines are open, 1-877-999-7684 with your questions. And also, you can get, Mark, how can the listeners shoot questions to you who might have some questions about some personal issues that they're dealing with, a hurdle, some type of barrier they're trying to overcome in their preparedness? How can they get a hold of you?
They can email me at prepperrecon@startmail.com, and always respond back. And a lot of times, if it's a great question and it's something that I'm getting a lot of, I'll use it for a show topic on the Prepper Recon podcast.
Yeah, I was going to talk. I wanted to also give you a chance to talk about the Prepper Recon podcast, some of the issues, things that you're discussing, and where they can go to learn more and listen, and what your broadcasting or podcast schedule is.
Yeah, we post a new show every Monday and Wednesday so that it doesn't overlap with Radio Free Redoubt, so folks can listen to both and they don't have to pick and choose, because I wouldn't want them to, because Radio Free Redoubt is just, you're doing such a great service to this country, John Jacob, I'll tell you, and I listen every week and I just love it. Now, also, you right before the break, you asked me about budget and folks that didn't have a whole lot of money, right now, prepperrecon.com, I've got a giveaway posted where one of the IFACs that we advertise on the show every week, we're giving away one of those, and we're giving away a nice starter bug out bag kit. So and there's all the details on how to win that. We do that every time we have a new book out. We do a giveaway, so they can go over there and check that out and enter to win that. And so if you don't have a lot of money, it doesn't get any better than free.
No kidding. If it's for free, it's for me. That's my thing.
And one of the things that I missed, and it's nestled into base, but is community, and it's in the book, but it just doesn't have its own subsection. But community is so important, because you can't do this stuff alone. The lone wolves out there, you're not going to be able to run security 24 hours a day. You can't do it. Even a small family, if you've got 3 8-hour shifts running security, that's 3 people that do nothing with no day off except run security. So you can't do this stuff by yourself. Now, in the Days of Noah series, the survival group in the book is a home fellowship. And I think that's very super realistic, and I think that's something that people need to really focus on. If you're not in a home group right now, you need to start forming one. Need to start getting involved in one, because as in the book, they have no other choice except a home fellowship, because their church has been shut down because it's forced into bankruptcy because the pastor wouldn't perform a gay marriage. And that day may be soon coming in this country.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I've been talking about that. The necessity of the future underground church is coming to America, which is more than most people can even process. You can't even grab that. But when you look at how quickly the accelerated deterioration that we've witnessed in our own country, it's not unfathomable now. People can finally start to think, there might be something to this thought.
Yeah. So, and then they take care of each other in the book too, and that's another thing that you can do in a home fellowship. We got very, very blessed. We just moved. We just got out of Fort Lauderdale, so there's no such thing as Radio Free Fort Lauderdale, because it's completely fallen. The left's taken it over, and it's a post-apocalyptic landscape.
Yeah. Like Detroit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. But anyway, we were fortunate. We got out. We're in Central Florida now, and we fell in with just a fantastic Bible study group. And right now they're covering the Shemitah prophecies and the blood moons by Jonathan Cahn and Mark Biltz. You paying attention to that stuff?
The Shemitah, yes. The blood moon cycle situation, I really went on the search, because before I jump on the bandwagon on something, I want to really objectively research it and study it. And that one, I believe, is how do I say it?
Less founded?
I disagree with their interpretation of that and how they're applying the blood moon thing. I do not believe that that's something that we should get spun up over, and that there's enough evidence to point, as far as me looking at it objectively, that it is not exactly what as is being sold. It's being misrepresented. But the Shemitah, that's God is a very mysterious, powerful, omnipotent being that manipulates things and events, and we see this kind of like this hidden, code or patterns, all throughout the scriptures. The more you learn about it, and so I think that as far as the Shemitah, there's this it's much more credible than I think that the blood moon cycle trend, if you will, is. I'm not sure how much you've been able to, you've researched it either.
Yeah, and there's a couple of different people doing the blood moons. There's John Hagee, which I'm less impressed with his work, and Mark Biltz, who was the original guy that did it. Now, before he did the blood moons, he did an entire study on the feasts of the Lord. And when you look at it in that context, and you look at how everything's sort of a dress rehearsal for prophetic events, when you think about Passover was sort of a prophetic dress rehearsal, he calls it, for Jesus's death on the cross and resurrection, and then how the Pentecost, which was, it's always been celebrated by the Jews as the giving of the law, and then that's the exact day that the Holy Spirit came on the new church. And then he's saying, the Feast of Trumpets is, it's sort of this dress rehearsal for this second coming. So when you start getting into all of that stuff, he makes some really, really strong points, and his out of the different people that are covering it, and a lot of it's just people that have taken his work and kind of ran with it and kind of doing their own thing with it, and it doesn't all add up. So I agree with you with that. But his is a little bit more compelling. But the Shemitah, I mean, it's pretty undeniable when you look at the last two. The last one we had 7 years ago in September was when the stock market lost 777 points, which was a 7% drop in the market. And then 7 years prior to that was 9/11. And so we all know what happened to the country and the economy when that happened. And of course, Jonathan Cahn's Harbinger book also covers a lot of that stuff as well, of what happened on September 11th and why it happened to this country and how we've turned our back on God. And it's kind of what we should expect, because we've certainly not repented, and we've certainly not done anything to move back closer to Him. We haven't brought prayer back into schools. We haven't brought, we haven't gotten rid of an abortion. In fact, if anything, we've just wandered further away, and we've pushed God more and more out of our lives. And now we're the next phase is we're going to push Him out of the church.
Yeah, exactly. The falling away, the apostate church, which we're already well in the advanced stages of that across the country, sadly. And the Harbinger was a fascinating. What that did, the Harbinger, for me, I think it should just be mandatory. I don't want to say reading, but that articulated what I could sense in my spirit. Something's not right. Something's in conflict, and there's going to be consequences. And I don't know how all that falls into place or what that'll look like. But when I didn't read the Harbinger, but I heard several reviews from those who did, and I did watch the interview with Cahn. And it's available on YouTube. And everybody that I spoke to that watched the video and his interview expose and read the book said, if you watch the video of his interview, you've got the meat and potatoes of it. The rest is a fictional story, and it's not really. He wove all of these facts into this story. They said you'd be better off stripping the story off and looking straight at the facts that you can get from the interview. That was a game changer for me. It just really solidly locked everything in. But I don't want to talk about his book. I want to talk about yours.
Well, I do a little bit of that myself as well, as far as weaving facts into fiction. Of course, the latest series, the Days of Noah series, you mentioned that. Book 1 was called Conspiracy, and then Book 2 is called Persecution. Book 3 is going to be out this October. It's going to be called Perdition. But in Book 1, we see this countrywide military training exercise, and it just so happens that the military is pre-positioned when a terrorist attack blamed on right-wing extremist group called American Patriots for Christ. It takes out a huge block of the nation's oil refineries. So that was published in November of 2014. So that was long before we've ever heard the word Jade Helm. So. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I hope that's as far as it is. I hope it doesn't become any more prophetic than that. And now there's a secondary storyline that follows a young intelligence analyst who starts seeing some of the things that don't line up with the official story, with all of this being blamed on the Patriots, because right. I feel like we're getting set up for that, though, John Jacob. I really do. Just kind of in my spirit and everything I see, it's we're being demonized, we're being marginalized, we're being pushed to the side, and it's not unthinkable that something like that would happen.
Have you been following this Muhammad cartoon stuff going on with the one in Texas? A month ago with the shooting, and then just recently yesterday in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah,
I have, and I think it's so crazy that we spend so much money fighting Islamic extremists on the other side of the world, and we've got our southern borders just wide open, and we're just basically buying them tickets in.
When, like, during these Muhammad cartoon events, they're blaming the people for holding the events. They're accusing them of causing terrorism, and things just get completely flipped. And this is the insane world that we're living in, and I think it's going to get a lot. It's going to be a wild ride ahead, and they will take the bad guys and make them look like the victims. They'll take Christian patriots. Ooh, what an evil name, Christian patriots, and they're going to be the ones brought all this on. They're the ones to blame. They're the ones that need to be gone after. There's no doubt in my mind. We're already seeing that the stage is being set for it.
Yeah, Jesus said, if they hate you, remember that they hated me first.
That's right. That's what Jesus said. Well, hey, you know what? We're coming up to the end of our time, and I know it goes so fast, but I want to give you just real quick, you got about 30 seconds if we can get your website, your information, the name of the book, and where they can go to get their copy.
Sure thing. It's preparedness.com, and I've got links to purchase all of the books are there. The Days of Noah series, the book one of that is Conspiracy, and then the new nonfiction preparedness book is called The 7-Step Survival Plan, and that's all available on Amazon. It's all available in paperback, Kindle, and audio edition as well, because I'm a big audio book fan, and that's how I consume books, because I just don't have the time to sit down and read. So try to make that available for the folks.
And I so appreciate the audio versions of those books that you've provided for me, and I love them. Mark Goodwin, ladies and gentlemen, from preparedness.com. Go and check him out where you can learn more. 7 steps for preparing for survival is all laid out in a book for you. And, go and check it out there. This is the Voice of the American Redoubt. You have a blessed week. We'll catch you next Saturday right here at the same time.
In the Days of Noah, Book 2, Persecution by best-selling author Mark Goodwin. A globalist conspiracy transpires by way of a false flag attack against America's energy infrastructure. Noah and Cassandra Parker witness a complete economic meltdown, which is intentionally triggered by the event. The assault is blamed on patriots and Christians who are rounded up into detention centers across the country. Noah and his friends must take action to prepare for the meltdown and defend against the totalitarian regime, which is gunning for their freedom and, quite possibly, their very lives. Get your copy of The Days of Noah, Book 2, Persecution for Kindle, paperback or audio edition at Amazon.com today.